Hmm?
I said you're live.
We're live? Cool.
Yes, finally.
It's been a while.
You know, we don't have the Brio is facing up.
I know, I told you that I hadn't set it up.
I know, that's fine.
I've been moving my desk lights around.
And everything else.
Yep.
I have something in my eyeball.
Is it your finger?
No. Sunscreen, sand, whatever. It's been way too long since we've been here. Hey, Neville.
Neville?
Neville, say hi.
Oh, Neville Page?
Yes?
Hey, Neville. How are you doing?
Way too long.
This is... Vicky said I have to... I cannot sell this piece because she likes it. It's a sad little vampire.
It is a sad vampire. I know. It has been way too long since we've done this. Sorry, guys.
Was Neville just kind of passing by?
He said, miss y'all.
Oh, we miss you too.
We do. We are, have been in the hot sun all day.
We went walking around New Orleans all day today.
With Stephanie.
Huh?
With Stephanie and Claire and Maeve.
Yep. I went to that, what's it called? Paupière La Plume?
Yes. Yes. Neville said he's passing by.
Passing by. That's all right?
Yes.
Like two ships in the night.
We will not be at Comic-Con, no. No, we won't be at Comic-Con.
But we will be at Dragon Con, and we will be at Lightbox.
Lightbox Expo. That's in his area. Dragon Con is not, but Lightbox is.
Lightbox is in Pasadena.
Yeah.
And if you're talking to Neville, you probably love that show. It's really going to be art heavy.
Yeah.
So, same place Monster Palooza is.
Yes. First weekend in September.
So
I know, it's been too long since we've done a live feed.
I don't know what I'm doing.
You don't know what you're doing?
Not yet.
Everything on my phone looks really dark, and I don't know if it is.
Well, it's probably because I changed my lights. I don't have as many lights up as I normally do. So
Oh, that's right.
I just bought a whole bunch of new lights,
Yes.
which I haven't put up yet. She wouldn't let me open them until after the live feed.
It's true.
And then I got a coffee, but she got alcohol.
That's true also. Sorry. That's true also. Discovered you from the new Pan's Labyrinth book.
Oh.
Your art is absolutely amazing.
We'll have to bring that out to you. I'm just thank you for saying that. I'm very happy that the book's out. I did the work going on 3 or 4 years ago now.
It has it, yes.
And I'll hold the phone if you want to grab it. Bring it out in a minute.
Okay.
So I have no...
You don't know what you're doing. I didn't show your face when
What?
I said that when Asandri said that they discovered your work from the new Pan's Labyrinth book. You were funny. You were like, "Oh yay!"
Well, I'm just happy because I've been anticipating that book to be published for so long, and when you do a book like that, especially when it's out of your control, which it has been since I did it in 2000, was like 4 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago. What is this? What year is it? Like it was 2015 when I did it,
yeah,
right?
It's 4 years ago.
4 years ago, and they had the artwork, and so I didn't even know what it was going to... I actually worked on the book without even knowing what format I was supposed to be working in.
Mm-hmm. Spellgraver says, hello, just came by to say your work is wonderful.
Oh, thank you very much. Spellgraver, that's a cool name. Spellgraver.
Prototype said the same thing. Your work is awesome. Prototype 514.
Thank you very much. I have no idea.
You have no idea? You don't know what you're doing?
It sort of started off like, it just instantly started looking like a bird character, right, with a hat.
A bird with a hat?
Like a bird character with a hat.
A bird with a hat.
Right?
That's
kind of what it looks like.
It does look like a bird with a hat. Did you just put the eyeball in there? You did?
No, I did that first, like hours ago.
Oh, Fresno said hi.
Hello. Fresno.
Fresno here, like they're in Fresno.
Oh, like they're in Fresno. That's cool.
Yes.
I don't think I've ever been in Fresno.
No? This is okay.
What?
Color Radio asked, how many hours do you think you've drawn in your life so far?
In my life, that's, you know, there were periods where I didn't draw as much, obviously, as I do nowadays. But I don't know, a lot. Yeah, it's like it'd be hard if I'd have to sit down and like roughly figure out my average, which is, you know, because I don't really take days off when I do work, and you know, unless I accidentally take a day off or something.
Hood Picasso said a lot.
It's huh?
Hood Picasso said a lot.
Yeah, well, it's probably six to 10 hours a day, you know, for most days, with there being a day or two in there where there's maybe just a couple hours.
See, I poked him, and because Stephanie and Claire were leaving today, we had guests in this week. You still worked, and but we were going to go early to New Orleans before they flew out, and
Actually got up early.
you got up early and braved the sun.
Well, it stung like holy water, but still.
You were fine. That's a neat tool. Are you talking about his?
This is a Caran d'Ache fixed pencil that I'm using. Actually, I found these new leads that I've been using a lot. Which I'm going to tell you these, and then they'll be impossible to find because they're hard to find as it is. These are hard to actually get a hold of. They're Kohinoor 8B 2mm leads.
But I didn't let you buy the
And
pencil today. I'm sorry.
well, that's okay. But I have a lot of them right now, which is cool. I think I bought a bunch of them just in case they sell out. So.
Is it just a lead holder? It's very aesthetic.
This is just a lead holder. Yeah, it's a lead clutch.
Clutch.
Great. When I get the new lead holder,
Do they know what a lead clutch is?
a lead clutch has it grips with like little fingers on the end, as opposed to a lead holder that's a knock type, which is just like the click type that makes the lead advance as you click it.
Yes.
This you just hold it and gravity does the rest, and that's a clutch. That's the difference between one
Where'd
and
you
the
put
other.
the lead?
The lead goes. I only have a little tiny piece.
Oh,
Right
there
here,
is a little tiny
but
piece.
let's see, the lead goes just in the end, and then use a lead pointer, such as this, to sharpen it. This one, I'm holding it together with tape just because occasionally I drop it, but they make current versions
We're
of
hard
these.
on the little things here.
Yeah.
In fact, poor Maeve has bashed her head because you guys were having too much fun last
We were playing
night.
chase in the house, and she decided to headbutt the wall.
It is true. And then I took a dive in New Orleans today before I had a drink because I just got my drink.
Oh yeah, because you like spilled
And then
your tea
pours-
everywhere.
I did my tea.
And then Stephanie punched Claire in the face accidentally.
Nah, she didn't.
She gave her a forearm.
Accidentally. We were hugging.
Well, yeah, that's what I said. It was an accident.
I know. Apparently we're kind of clods here.
We're just kind of tough on small things.
It is yes, it's a lead hole.
This is very tight to get out, though, for some reason.
What are you doing? Oh,
I'm
you're trying to open the 8Bs, right? That's
Yeah.
what we were talking about. I'm sorry, I disrailed the conversation. Or derailed.
Well, that's okay. I don't know which one I'd already opened, but it doesn't seem like any of them. So far, it's a boring feed. He's opening a
He's
a
trying to
container of
open,
lead.
and he can't.
Unsuccessfully.
It's successfully opening a container of lead.
No, it's like it won't open.
Well, maybe that's the trick.
Forget-
Maybe you
that's-
got them
maybe
so
this,
cheap.
This is why they sell them. So, is there a knife right here? There is.
Oh, wait. I have my glasses. No wonder I can't read what anyone's saying. Khaled K7777 says, "Hi, man. I hope you're having a great day."
Oh, definitely. It was warm in New Orleans.
Oh, it was 97.
All right, there I got
That's
it.
Fahrenheit.
Fine.
Hopefully you're not all held together by tape. Sometimes we feel like...
You know what? Lately, I've been using my Dremel, and I've been screwing everything onto my desk that I was holding everything with these.
I think he's talking about the children and stuff.
I know what he was talking about, but I'm talking about something. I used to hold everything on my desk with these C clamps, so I actually have a fairly substantial C
I saw
clamp
them
collection.
over there. Yes,
You should-
they're behind the easel.
yeah, but I started screwing everything in. So anyway, this
This
is
is too funny.
the lead clutch. The lead goes
Hopefully.
in. So what most people don't know about lead clutches, and it surprises me when people don't know this, but in the end, there's usually a small sharpener in the end. You can't
Put it
really
under the light.
you can't see it, but there's little blades in there, 4 little blades, and
Oh,
it'll
to
do
sharpen the end.
it'll do
Gotcha.
a a functional point. I mean, it won't get you as sharp as, like, say, one of these things will, but
How long have you been drawing for? You are 53.
53, and the earliest I can remember drawing and have an example of drawing is when I was 3.
Right, but then
So, 50
you
years.
started drawing. You were just drawing like
Professionally
a regular teen.
since 1988.
Yes, since '88. So what is that? 31 years.
Yeah. So, if you want sharp points, by far lead pointers are the easiest, quickest way to get a super sharp point.
And that was this. Pull it out again.
This one is a Stadler, but they have different brands that you can get. They don't actually have to be like this. I mean, there are other kinds as well. Like, well, this is another Stadler too, but this is what a normal Stadler. This is what the normal ones look like. The only reason I use these is because they have interchangeable widths on the front, and these pencils are a little bit wider than will fit in these. So I have to use these kinds with the interchangeable widths. You can also
Everybody's a little salty today. It's at least 3 days. He has been drawing for more than 3 days.
At least 3. At least 3 days. 3 days at a time. No, but like, and here's a Ged's that does the same thing. It sharpens, instead of spinning around a sharpening point, a grinder, this one spins and the grinder's on the outside edge. So it's just different. Yeah. And then this one is an antique, and this one makes super long points. But this one I like a lot.
This is the one you could like.
This is a Boston.
Oh, that's like really heavy.
Yeah, it's also
Holy
a weapon.
Cow.
It's
It is
also
a weapon.
It's a tactical grade sharpener.
I guess so. Oops, I drip anything on there. I just did. Ah!
Oh,
Gosh.
it's ruined.
It is not ruined. I often do that.
So,
Okay, so I know to grab that one if anyone breaks into the house.
Right.
And it's not going
or the
away.
meat cleaver that's over there.
The meat cleaver, yes.
Yeah. I also keep a meat cleaver in my studio just because it makes me feel comfy.
Everybody else is being funny too.
It's that kind of a day, right?
It was 97. I'm surprised we survived. But we had beignets
We did.
with an S.
I got to walk around. I got to go into a couple of a pen store in New Orleans,
The heck shop.
and went to a shop called Hex, which is more of a Wiccan,
And then an antique store.
and a lot of antiques. Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Drug them around everywhere.
And then we got to go to Barnes and Noble at the end. I did get an initial stamp and a wax seal, but I think I'm going to end up making my own. Not making my own, but designing my own.
Yes.
So, but I did. I
got
just.
that cute picture of you and Stephanie looking at all the different pens and pencils and nibs and
Yeah, you said
Why
it was
would you
like
do that?
you said it was like we were picking out like a wedding ring, an
Engagement
engagement
rings.
ring. Yeah, it was a really cool.
Stephanie Law came to visit.
Yeah.
Another artist. You should check her work out.
She's on a plane right now. They can't.
She's in a pen. Her work's still there. Her
Steph-
art's still there.
It's like snakes on a plane. Stephanie's on a plane.
But it was hot. And you came.
Well, yeah, I had to.
Thank you.
We're gonna go back up again because there's a pencil I want.
Okay.
We have to make a trip all the way to New Orleans for a pencil that I want.
All right. I should have just had you get there. But that's all right.
Oh, now we have another reason to go back to Nolans.
That's true. Is your workspace full of a lot of black things, skulls and stuff?
Black things.
Oh, wait.
I got it. I have to say this because we're being all salty tonight. Most of the skulls I have are white. They're not black.
Gray.
I have some that
Creamy.
have like.
This is a desiccated rat,
No, yeah, that's a mouse.
desiccated mouse, and
Yeah.
some leaves.
He's mummified.
There's rocks and sticks and moss colored, and some corn that got a little bit too.
The reason I keep that is because it looks like teeth.
Oh, I like this. This is the Nazgul head that you have wrapped in
In plastic.
plastic.
I like it. I like it better that way.
Oh, how was the earthquake? You know what? We are not near the earthquake. We're in hurricane territory now. We're on the Gulf Coast. Oh, and the creepy monkey. So that might be.
And then there's the Simon Lee Cthulhu
Simon Lee
up there
Cthulhu.
that I've never put the arms on. I still have the arms.
Yeah. And then all the other stuff up there. That's just a little bit. There's a bunch of skulls up there. We just found a skull. So we are not in earthquake territory anymore. I know. That was like huge. bunch of it.
I saw some videos of some pools that were like the water was being splashed out of the pools. They were waving so much.
Yes, to answer your question, his workplace is full of a lot of skulls. Oh,
I have a lot of stuff that people consider.
What's that over there?
Oh, this
That's
is
a fish something.
This is a fish skull, or part of a fish skull.
Oh, did you see that vertebrae that Stephanie found
on the beach? Yeah.
Yeah, she didn't even find it on the beach. It was like on the boardwalk on the way over.
So this is really kind of beautiful because it has such a. When you get up close in a macro, it's like almost like folded in together on itself.
Yes.
I do have a lot of what you would call esoteric stuff.
Thanks for the inspiration.
Oh,
love your work.
Thanks for saying that.
Did you ever get the taxidermy kangaroo thing?
I haven't yet, but I still I want to because, well, I'm still looking for the kangaroo. I haven't found a place that sells the taxidermy kangaroo. Not the actual taxidermy, but the form.
The form. You want the underneath part.
It's just a simple, smooth model that they use to put like everything else on top of.
Okay.
But
I don't want the taxidermy. You want the.
I want the form. Yeah. Form. Because I found some of like they have forms for foxes and squirrels and things, and those all actually look vaguely humanoid when you take everything off the top of them. Ooh. They have this vaguely humanoid shape that's pretty cool, and a little disturbing. But
there's a bunch of skulls over there on your thing too.
Where? Oh, over there.
Yeah.
Well, there's the one that I have the silver dollar in the mouth.
Mm-hmm. Yes, he has a lot of stuff. Sometimes it creeps into the rest of the house. Actually, it does a lot. Have you ever tried silver point perspective?
Silver point. You mean just silver point rendering, like with a? I haven't done any silver point, but I like the look of it. It looks like a very subtle way of approaching values and things. But it's something I've always thought about trying. I've never done it yet. I suppose you have to prepare a certain ground to draw on with silver point.
So Stephanie was playing with this.
Yeah, you have to have a ground though to draw on.
Oh.
Otherwise, I think there's a risk of it. Like I've seen people do silver point drawings, and then drawing will disappear and then reappear later in different years because depending on how tarnished it gets.
Oh, I don't know. Katamina then asks, so for shadowing and texture, you use real things?
Well, for instance, like I'm working on this, I don't really have any direct reference for it, but you could say that I have enough stuff laying around the house. If I needed something to look at, I could find something that was close to a shape or a texture I want. A lot of the textures I just kind of make up on the spot, but that's probably also because in the past I've drawn them from something real somewhere. You know, if it has
photo reference,
I use photo reference a lot. You know, especially for like human figures and things like that. Or if I wanted to like say have something like this like texture work into it, I might look at that for a bit just to see where the highlights hit and all that. But very often I'll just start making things up, and I guess I've done it enough now that I can make them up in a believable way and create different types of textures. Usually it has to do with like somebody mentioned this in one of our posts recently, that the specular highlight, like the shiniest part of the light, just how you approach just that highlight can tell you a lot about what the texture is. Like if you have a really sharp pinpoint of light, it's more shiny, right? And then if you don't have that sharp pinpoint of light, it tends to make it dull. Like your skin doesn't have any real unless you're wet, you don't have specular highlights on it. You don't have those little tiny glistening lights on it.
Right.
Whereas this does. So if I put those highlights on my skin, it would start to look more like this, right? See how wrinkled my hand is? It's starting to look like all papery and stuff. That's cool.
It's a beautiful hand.
Well, I like it when like all that stuff starts to happen.
Mine's wrinklier than yours.
I feel like I'm being a magpie tonight. Like I'm just like, oh, look.
Off on the next thing. Do you have preference for any graphite in particular?
I have lately had for my mechanical pencils been liking this Kohinoor. I was mentioning this earlier. It's a Kohinoor 8B. It's the softest mechanical pencil that I found, and it makes a really nice dark line. But other than that, I use the Mitsubishi Hayoni's graphite as up to like 4B, but they don't make anything over 4B.
And someone asked, in the piece you're working on, will you incorporate powdered graphite before the end?
Not usually on top of drawing. Like if I put powdered graphite on this now, it'll start to, it would just make everything disappear. When I use powdered graphite, I start with powdered graphite almost always and work.
Whether it's on paper or clapboard.
Because that's more of a reductive process. So what I would do though with something like this is I might grab a brush if I wanted to change a texture or make it look slightly different, and just gently pull some of it into I don't want to do it too much because you can make your edges of all of your lines turned into marshmallows, and then you have to work back into it to make them sharp again. But you can definitely change your surface with pulling a brush across it just lightly. It's just another variation of smudging.
Yes. Wait, I have to show this.
What?
Well, you don't have to wait that.
What?
Look, I'm panning across it.
Oh.
You got any pencils there?
Hmm?
Now I don't feel so bad.
Yeah. Well, these are essentially, I've boiled it down to most of the stuff that I use over here.
That's crazy.
Yeah. This is something new. This is since the last time we had. I bought one of these. These are like $10 on Amazon.
What
I
are
think.
they?
And these are 2mm erasers. Listen.
I don't think they can hear.
But it's very light and it's very precise.
What is the name of it?
It's called an AFMAT.
Thank you.
Right? And they have those really tiny, like the Tombow Mono erasers. It uses the same size as those really small ones. And then I figured out also how to do that with my Sakura. I put a Dremel chuck from my Dremel in it, and it holds the smaller eraser. And now it works perfectly. And this one's a little more powerful. But this is perfectly usable for tiny pinpoint highlights if you need something to erase, and it's only $10.
Someone said, "No wonder you didn't let him shop after
Yeah,
we showed all the pencils."
It's a good thing that I just like to collect things, and I'll play with them until they become functional, or they'll sit there for a long time, and then
we've often had the discussion, like, if you didn't buy anything for a year, could you produce?
I wouldn't have to buy anything for a couple of years if I just stuck with everything that I have. But
I know.
Part of what I like to do is just experiment with new things.
Do you ever burnish with the graphite in your pieces?
I do burnish when I have a hard surface.
Right.
When I do the
not the paper, but the clapboard.
Because when you burnish on paper, it polishes the paper.
The tooth of the paper.
Yeah, and the surface starts to become inconsistent. Mm-hmm. Which is okay if that's what you're looking for. But I don't really dig in hard with graphite on paper. Mostly also because I like to have noise in the graphite. I like it to have that kind of texture to it. Mm-hmm.
Baden-Will says, I use a number 2 pencil in whatever scrap of paper I can find. This is a real production.
Oh, well, you know what? You can do a whole lot with a number 2 pencil and a trash bag if you want to work on that. That's kind of what I started with.
I know.
I did a lot of that in college, actually. Mm-hmm. I challenged myself to not have, to work on stuff that I found.
He just likes to
You don't need
collect.
You don't even need a desk to work on. All you need is a lap and a piece of paper. And, like, I did a drawing on one night when we did live feed. I did a drawing with one of those free pencils you get from IKEA. Remember? That was a while back.
Really? Did we ever do that?
The
or
pencil,
we just talk about that?
It's really weird because it just depends on what you want. It's like any kind of when you're in, like they used to say, because I used to play a lot of racquetball, and they said that the racket doesn't matter unless it matters. Your tools don't matter to you unless they matter to you.
Right.
Right. There are people that can you can do any of this stuff with any alternative tool that you want to pick.
Right.
You just have to learn what limitations are in that particular tool, and
you might not get this darkness with a number 2.
Well, yeah, no, number 2 lead pencil is typically about an HB or up to 2B something, or 2H, something like that. Depends on the brand. So number 2s don't usually get as dark, and they don't really produce as much grain. That comes from softer leads usually, but you can do it. It just takes I typically will work with one pencil, like an 8B, and I'll even do the higher values with it, because with an 8B I can get it I can go from pretty light to almost black. So you don't really have to have that many various pencils. It might make it easier in some ways if you use different leads.
All right, Neil NLX says an AFMAT also has a super long point electric pencil sharpener.
I have one of those. That's the one you got me for Christmas, remember?
Yes.
It makes a long point with a flat tip on the end.
Even longer than the Carl 5s.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it does. It just
That's the
doesn't.
one I bought you. See,
Yeah.
that's the problem with me buying you a.
It just doesn't make a sharp point. It makes a long point. I actually like that though for some things because I don't really like a needle point all the time. Sometimes I like a chisel point, you know, like or a flat point like that, you know. So yeah, you can. I mean, you can. I like playing with different points. You get more of a calligraphic line when you have a flat, you know.
Do you ever
side.
listen to music when you work, and what kind?
I listen to a lot of different kinds of stuff when I work. A lot of times I'll listen to audiobooks. I listen to a lot of like you know, industrial stuff that I can just kind of trance out to, I guess you could say. And I listen to a lot of ethereal stuff. Even, you know, like a lot of the like, you know, like Gaelic kind of things as well, and different. I don't know, just about anything really. A friend of mine recently just sent me some of the what was it, the Mongolian metal, which was kind of cool. Which, well, it was very cool, but you know, it's like very like almost like the Tuvan throat singing. Yeah, set to a different kind of a beat, but yeah. But, so yeah, I listen to a lot of different. I had a teacher once. You know, I've talked about him before, Ted Lanham. He said when he was in school that his teachers wouldn't let them play music, that they had to focus entirely on what they were doing, and he didn't like that. So we never had a class where we didn't have music playing in the background. And he had an old turntable in the studio, and he would play like old Dire Straits, Love Over Gold, and stuff like that all the time, constantly.
You're asking where you got your clutch.
This? I probably got this one from JetPens. Online, they sell the I think they may not sell that though. I don't know. I don't think they sell the Caran d'Ache, the fixed pencil 2mm. But you can, if you look that up. If you look up this Caran d'Ache fixed pencil 77, like Google it, I'm sure they're on Amazon. They're all. I mean, they're a bunch of different places. And then I took my engraver and wrote 8B in it because I keep my 8Bs in it.
Because we have several others here, I think. Oh, those are the clutches. Clutches are all over there.
See. I made a little place for all my clutch pencils.
Ew,
and my
they have a little holder there with a...
Yeah, that
you know
keeps them from sliding
I have
off.
to tell you something.
What?
You attach that ruler to the desk. It's upside down and from the number 13 to 36. You couldn't just turn it around.
Why would I?
Just because it would make me happy to not look at the numbers
That's
upside down.
that's your OCD.
That's not really OCD.
It's not OCD, but what is it? Neurotic. Neurosis.
My neurosis. Thank you. I love you too.
You have to.
Do you use charcoal much?
Charcoal is not something I've found an affinity for because it I don't know what little I've tried. Like charcoal powder tends to come off much quicker than the graphite does when you're trying to do a reductive technique. And I've gotten so used to the graphite that it's disconcerting to me.
I'll have to try.
But I see some beautiful charcoal drawings, and so yeah, I think that you can do. I think you might even be able to get to some deeper blacks with charcoal if you're into it. From what I can tell, it's just
messy.
Well, it's a different kind. It's a different kind of messy, right?
Yes.
So.
See, it'll stick in his head now, and in a couple of months he'll pull out all the charcoal stuff.
Well, I have some. I have the nitrum charcoal holder with the different hardnesses. I just haven't allowed myself to like dig into it yet.
You know, that looks like the rhinoceros beetle horn.
It kind of does, yeah.
A little bit. I don't even know what time we started.
It's like 9:47 right now.
I mean, but we didn't start till like 9:20 or something. That's all right. How does reduction play into your process? Color Radio asks.
It's, when I'm doing like graphite powder, it's 90% of the process. I'll use a lot of, like, so I have all these, like I have piles of erasers. Look, it has hair in it. I have piles of erasers and different erasing implements.
They can go through the washing machine and often have.
Yeah. And then I also have the, what do you call them? The abrasive erasers that you can sharpen, you know. And those work really well. I use clayboard when I'm doing that, though. We'll do that one the next time we do a live feed. We'll do a clayboard. reduction technique thing.
Maybe. But they're on the YouTube channel,
They are, yeah.
which is Alan Williams' studio, along with our website. Says it reminds me of Tremors for some reason, the horror movie series. I love Tremors.
That was a great movie. I think they're remaking it now, which
Tremors?
yeah,
No,
it's not that old.
But I love Kevin Bacon. In that
Well,
movie.
no, I think he's actually still going to be in it.
Oh no!
Yeah, but
really?
but
Tremors.
it's
Oh my god! Now I have to watch it again. It's stuck in my head because I can't remember all the lines.
see, we make a plan so we don't have to do anything today. That's what plans are for.
Oh my! Oh, let me see.
There's a lot of good quotes in Tremors.
Neil asks, "What about the oily base pencils or something like the Prismacolor Black 935? You tried it for your darkest darks or any playing with
You know
it
what?
at all?"
Prismacolor blacks I've used but I'll use them when I do a drawing with those. I'll typically use like an illustration board that's a little more sturdy, and then I'll use the very thins with the regular Prismacolors, and then I'll use a little bit of gouache even with that to go back in and tickle it to make it even more smooth.
Right,
But
right,
you
right.
can get a really super velvet technique with that.
Oh,
Which I haven't
yes.
done in a long time.
No, you haven't done
But
that in a
that's-
while.
Yeah, that's what the piece that the genie Lost Love. I did that with black Prismacolor
Ah,
and oil paints too. At the end of it, I've actually done almost entirely like a refined underdrawing with Prismacolor, and then seal it, and then go back over it with very very thin oil. So I have this actually starts to look more like a character in a well, the other one did too. The little vampire looks like a character too. Not sure what's going on.
Tremors was so terrible and so funny at the same time. I love that movie.
I don't. Was it terrible?
Oh,
Maybe everybody thought it.
only-
I thought it was great. I thought it was hilarious.
Well, terrible in a wonderful way, right?
Yeah.
So
It's like I don't
they're
like.
they're making guesses as to what it is. What a
What?
pretty dog.
Yeah.
They said, "Are you blind? It's a dolphin." My favorite breed. Art Mix says, do you know you're a genius? Or
Oh,
which I'm not sure I would tell him that.
That's a very kind thing to say and generous.
That-
As often as I mess things up, I don't.
you don't see. We understand that when we post stuff, we're posting finished product, and there are a lot of.
Well, the thing is, though, is that messing stuff up is part of my process. So
That
I mean,
is true.
like
Yes.
I'll go through, 2 or 3 sometimes.
6.
I won't call them false starts with a painting. It's just that
Different
they
iterations
just
of
go
it?
through different directions at first, and I don't really. There's times when you're doing concept work and stuff like that where you don't have the time to experiment a lot with certain things. But when I'm doing my own stuff, I don't really care if I have to start it over 2 or 3 times to get to what I want, or if I get to the middle of it or 90% done with it, and I don't like it, I'll start over even from that point.
It's true. He will.
Making mistakes in the work that I do is sort of like you try something, and if it doesn't work, you just fix it and go on. Half of the good stuff that happens is that that lucky accident, that happy accident they talk about.
Mm-hmm.
There are tons of not happy accidents too.
Oh yes.
Things that just don't work, and you just have to start over.
We have. Usually there's stacks of them on the floor, but I think they've been thrown out recently.
Yeah.
Get crumpled
So
up.
I do draw from the side a lot more than I used to when I was younger. I used to just draw with the very sharp point of the tip of the pencil, but going towards defining things with being more shape oriented, I noticed that I started drawing from the side quite a bit more.
Someone asked, "Are you freestyling this, or is there a sketch? I can't see it on the paper."
There's
There
no
is
sketch. I just started with it, just which
You go back and watch the beginning. He's like, "I don't know what I'm doing here."
and
figure
you'll
it out.
you'll notice though that people who unless you're being very aware of it when you start just drawing by freestyling, as you say, you'll typically I'll do things either from a 3/4 view or a profile.
Right.
So it's almost like I simplify my view of things this is kind of actually how I do a lot of the concept stuff I do too. you know, except that I usually have a brief, you know, that I'm working off of, and I just started this with random line to see what popped out.
What are other artists that influence your work?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of people that I love to look at. I love to look at Beksinski. I love to, you know, when I was younger, I grew up with Frazetta and, you know, and Boris and Vallejo and Geiger. I love the contemporary like Nikolai Samoy. And let's see, I have a like on my. I keep boards with inspiration and stuff like that, where I'll just go and collect art that I like, drawings that resonate. Like a lot of this is actually Beksinski. But here's some, like, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Chris Cooksey's sculpture, but his drawings are amazing, right? And Agostino, I don't know if I can pronounce his last name, Arriva Bene, Galaccio. There's a lot of Jeffrey Catherine Jones.
Are you Alan Williams on Pinterest? What are you?
On Pinterest? I think
or
it's.
I just draw?
I think it's. I can't. Oh, where did I go? Hold on.
Where did I go
saved?
back?
Why am I not being able to?
This is an older piece. Your concept. What is this concept for?
This was my version of Beauty and the Beast. I did this I went to IMC, the Illustrators Masterclass, one year, and this was what I took to work on. It was my version of Beauty and the Beast. So I have a Williams Studio thing, Alan Williams Studio thing on there as well. But let's see what it says. Let me go to here. Yeah, it's under Alan Williams Art and Inspiration. So.
And then this piece over here.
Oh, this was the Stillborn King. This was much older, the piece with the Beauty and the Beast piece, and this one was just a few years ago.
Yes. Gary's on. He says, "Howdy, congrats on the Pan's Labyrinth novel art. Looks stunning and gorgeous in person."
Hold on. Here, keep your. I'm gonna go get it. I'm gonna get it real quick.
We miss you too, Gary. We'll be out for Lightbox.
Gary, you know what was funny? We didn't know that they had actually used the cover that I did until you posted it. We thought that it was just the cover on the dust jacket. I hadn't seen it. So hold on.
So we were tired this week. I'm stealing his chair. Oh, and I stepped on a kneaded eraser.
Where is it, Vic?
In my office.
Oh.
He's going to get the book so we can do a flip through because we got it Tuesday and it's Saturday and I haven't picked it up. I haven't done it yet.
What?
A flip through.
You can do it now for a bit.
Yes, the website is alanwilliamsstudio.com.
So this was the book. This was the one we worked on. I guess it was 2015, and it just came out recently. And if you open up underneath the dust jacket, you get to see. This is what I painted for it. So. And then, let's see, where does it start? Oh, here's where it says, that's me. I know, these people are cool too, but that's me.
You're salty today.
I know. You know, I'm not sure if it's right or not, but Del Toro pronounces her name Funke. It says Funke. I'm not sure if that's the way. Is Gary still on? Is it pronounced Cornelia Funke like he does? Like he says it, or is it different?
I don't know.
I don't know. But he's funny. So. And there's when we get to the end, I'll tell you the name of the artist that did the graphic version of the cover.
Dust cover.
And she did all the border design stuff too, I think. But I don't know her name off the top of my head, but it's on the back cover, so I'll tell you that name too. But let's see. It's like a sectioned book of fairy tales in a way, right? But there's like 10. I think I have 10 illustrations in it.
You do?
There's one. So.
We can go through it on another one tomorrow night.
Yeah, we'll just do a few here right now, real quick. But I can thumb through it like this too. There's one. That's the one with the fail man. So, and we actually have permission to do a print run, a very limited, like a set of 10.
You missed one.
Huh? I missed one. Oh, that's the military guy in his thing with the watch.
Gary says, I heard him pronounce it that way, and I thought it was odd.
Yeah, I don't know if that's the way it's actually pronounced or not, but that's the way he said it. And he said it in the video.
I think it's Funke. I don't know.
So
I'll have to listen to an interview with her.
But the jacket art and jacket design was by Sarah J. Coleman, and the design was also by Sarah J. Coleman and Joel Tippie, Tippie, and they did all of this part and this cover, like that. And then the interior stuff, that's the illustrations, that's mine, and then the color on the inside of this is mine.
Yeah.
So.
Repeating. Yes, the limited print run will be up on the website. I'll get those up this week.
So.
We've had people in 1 week.
Yeah.
Busyness the week before, and then more people in. Someone wanted to see this shot of your studio, but
Go ahead.
I don't know what's out and about.
I don't think anything's out that can't be seen right now, except for that.
Yes. It's messy.
It's messy because I'm reorganizing everything right now.
Ooh, it's scary. And he's in his pajamas. Actually, Rose in the pajamas.
Yeah.
It's a mess. Look. That is a mess.
A little bit. So I have a bunch of. That's where I do all the graphite powder and stuff over there. And this is my easel, which I'm actually rebuilding right now. I have a few lights.
That is a mess. It's a mess. What kind of pencil are you using? Not the lead harness.
Well, okay, so the lead holder that I'm using for this is a Caran Dash fixed pencil, but the kind of pencils that I normally use are the Tombow Mono 6B is what I use most often. Tombow Mono Graphite, Tombow Mono 100, and it's the one with the little plastic end on the end. There's a different Tombow Mono that's wooden all the way to the end, and to me that one is a little more chalky, whereas these are a little more fluid to me. They feel a little more buttery when you draw with them.
I think so.
So.
Studio shop.
Huh? What are you doing?
Best.
More studio stuff?
Detail.
So I just switched pencils, by the way. I mean, it really. So I like the Tombow Monos because they're dark, but you know, it really just is a matter of whatever pencils you have access to, figuring out what you can do with them, and then adjusting your values to match what the pencil can produce. So.
GT McCarthy says these live streams make me want to draw. Probably when I'm done.
Well,
that's
that's the perfect outcome, I think. If I can help or get people make people want to draw, that's the best possible use of a live stream, I think.
Gary said it's pronounced Funka. Foonka.
Oh, okay.
Funka.
Cornelia Funka. Okay. Well, that's very different than what. But if you've ever heard Del Toro, he defaults to the more humorous pronunciation of things generally. He likes to make it's good natured. If he says something like that, it's all in good fun.
Yes.
So.
Badwell says a great setup, inspiring. Would love to have a nice studio like that one day. Remember, last time you were painting in the garage, so
yeah, I've had
painted
studios,
in the attic.
Yeah, I've
painted
been in the attic,
garage,
in a garage, and
in the dining room.
This is the first time. I guess I'm when we moved here, I was 51, and this is the first time I've actually had like a designated studio area. And that whole time, and you have to remember too, and I think this is important to say that most of the stuff you see I've collected over the last 30 years. It's all the stuff that I have in my studio.
Yeah.
Is essentially an art hoarder over 30 years worth of time.
Yeah, I used to throw his stuff out, and that was a mistake. Does the 6B Tombow Mono feel as dark as the 8B lead?
It's I think it's not quite as dark as the 8B mechanical lead, but I like switching things up and just somebody asked me once if I ever get carpal tunnel, and I think I don't because I switch tools all the time, and I use different things.
Sometimes they're fat. I
yeah,
almost let you buy that thing today, and I should have.
Oh, the
big fat clutch. It wasn't a clutch.
It wasn't. It was a knock.
Knock.
But see, like I sometimes
learned that today. The difference.
I'll sometimes use these lead. This is like it says E plus M. It's from Germany. It's another kind of, pencil extender, and and sometimes I'll draw with these things too. Sometimes I like drawing from a distance like this because I'll start to get more gestural lines and things.
Hirschberger Illustration says, "I'm glad I took a break from my own art and caught this."
Oh, well, thanks for coming by and watching it. That's cool.
Yes, our website is alanwilliamsstudio.com.
We have a website?
Yes, we have a website. Yes, we have a website. Thank you. Not that you could tell these last 3 weeks. Apparently it's been a very busy, fun time here in the Williams household.
So, well, go ahead and do the web. Did you say
the website. Yes, alanwilliamsstudio.com. Sorry, see, you
I distracted
my brain, my train of thought. We're here on Instagram, obviously, on I_JustDraw. Throw stuff up on Twitter, and I Just Draw, and our Facebook page at Alan Williams Art. Then we also have the Patreon at patreon.com/Alan Williams. We'll see. I should have let you buy them. They said I should have let you buy it. Yes, but...
Well, here's the thing, because we'll probably go back, and now she's already told me, okay, when we go back, you can get it, so...
But you guys were so funny at the counter looking at
I just won't have the opportunity of buying it with Stephanie at the same time and being pencil buddies with her.
Oh, no.
But me and Stephanie have been pencil buddies for a while, though.
Long time. You gave her first sharpener.
She had never sharpened those thin mechanical drafting pencils, the .2s, until I showed her that you can... Where'd it go? You can sharpen those with these. I have to show now, right? I say it and I have to show it.
Now you have to show it.
So, okay.
Yes, so we have a YouTube channel. That everything goes up on the YouTube channel. It's at Alan Williams Studio also. YouTube.com/Alan Williams Studio.
This is a Faber-Castell mechanical pencil.
Oh, yeah.
And they have different, the different sizes from .3 up to the... This is a...
Wait, you have to show the tip. There you go.
This is a point... This is a... It says 1.9 or 1.0. And I almost always take the clips off at the end of them just because they get in the way for me most of the time. But here's what's fun is that these Getz sharpeners, they'll sharpen almost any kind of pencil, but they do a really good job of sharpening these really thin mechanical pencils to a super, like you can almost get an acupuncture point with it.
Wait, you gotta put it sideways, please.
And people say, what do you use that for?
What is the point of it?
What is the point of the point? And the thing is that I don't normally use a point like that for drawing, except for if I'm in a point where I'm starting to get really refined, and like then I'll go back in and start filling in those little tiny gaps.
We call it noodling.
Well, but it is kind of feels like noodling. But the thing is it aggregates into a textural quality that's more like velvet, and I use it for very small, sharp detail. Like almost like etching. So whenever you see something that looks a little like etching in my drawing, it's because I'm using a super sharp point with a softer lead. But so I use just about everything. I don't really pick one thing over the other. I just use them for different things. It's like each tool has more of a specific purpose, whereas pencils are generally, the same, except for like I said, Tombow Monos get a little darker. Mm-hmm. Faber-Castells are good, but they tend to be a higher range in value. Mm-hmm. So if you like working in the higher range, you definitely want, like the Faber-Castell like 8B is lighter than other 8Bs. Than the Tombow Mono 8B, but it also is the whole range of them are lighter. So if you like a higher key drawing, then you would want to use the Faber-Castell stuff for that.
Yes.
I'll have to do a drawing that's more high key so you can see what I mean. So I can show you that at some point.
All right, I have a question.
What?
Or this person has a question. Have you ever worked on a piece and start to feel it is to Geiger or to someone else? If so, do you push on or change direction or even abandon the piece?
You know, there was a time when I would purposefully emulate other artists to be able to learn what they did. Nowadays, if I have something that I don't usually get to a point in something that feels like it's to somebody else anymore, but if I did, or if I have in the past, which I'm pretty sure that I probably have, I would probably just keep pushing through it until it became more mine and figure out what it was that was looking too much like the other artist. Maybe it was a particular pattern or a composition or whatever. Typically, though, once you get past that emulation phase, when you're really influenced by somebody's work and you do it enough, it's sort of your own way of doing it starts to come out. And most likely my stuff probably never really looked that much like theirs anyway, because they're the only ones who can really do their work to begin with.
Right.
Like I could never emulate something of Beksinski's to a point that it would probably be mistaken for Beksinski's. It would only look derivative of Beksinski, which to some people is just as bad. But I think there's a process of learning your own stuff where you learn to speak a lot of different languages.
Right.
And so Beksinski has a particular visual language, and so does Geiger. And if you're just experimenting with that language, you have to experiment with it before you can start composing your own. You have to, you like that language, and so you use it. And then as you use it, you start saying things that are your statements instead of possibly just reproducing their statement. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
I think that makes sense.
Yes.
So,
but I listen to you a lot, so maybe it does make sense what you were saying.
this to me looks like a bird character from like Dark Crystal or something.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That hat. Let's see. Hirschberger. This is a Geddes.
That's a yeah.
Geddes.
Yeah, and you can get these from pencilthings.com.
Pencilthings.com. Yes.
Yeah. And they run about 20 or I think they're about $25 or $30 for the setup. And you can get replacement rings for that inner. There's an inner ring inside that's of metal. That's the grinding ring for sharpening. But that's it works on these. It'll work on these if you extend the lead enough. It also works on mechanical pencils. As long as you can fit it in here, it'll sharpen it. Because there's a hole in there for the lead to stick through. It's just an interesting variation on a lead pointer. So, and I don't know where I put it. I have the other one too. I found recently. I had lost it for a while, but it's the little shaver lead pointer. But he's not. It's over there.
What are we talking about?
That.
I'm sorry, I was answering people's questions.
The little shaver.
The little
you can
shaver
hand me that.
they don't make anymore.
Right. So, I have this one, which is a reproduction.
Careful, don't put it on your drawing.
Yeah, this one is a reproduction of an older, pencil sharpener.
Wait, we got too many things going on.
I got too many things going on. Yeah. So this one is fun. It's a little more of a meditational thing because you have to, like you said, let's see, it's actually easier to use when there's already a start on the lead like this, right? So it just sits there in it. You slowly rotate the pencil as you sharpen it, like this. The first video, I think, one of the first videos that I ever put up on YouTube was of
on
me sharpening,
Instagram.
or was it Instagram? Yeah, was of me using this thing to sharpen, and it got so many likes, and it was just me sharpening a pencil. It got so many views. It was funny, but it's more of a meditational thing because you have to have a gentle hand to make it work really well. Because the harder you press, you obviously can break the lead on the end, and it is basically a planer, and it's planing the lead down.
And they don't make these anymore.
Well, see, Lee Valley Tools made these, and I said something about them one time, and then they sold out, and then they stopped making them.
I know.
I think they decided that it was too much effort for something that they were going to get. Maybe it was too hard to make or something. I don't know. So Lee Valley Tools, if you ever go online, they're the ones that made it, and if you go online and these are more expensive though. I think this was like a $40 or $50,
Pencil
sharpener.
We have quite a collection of pencil sharpeners.
I have some, this is a reproduction of an antique, and I like it. It's definitely more of a, a meditational thing than an actually really good pencil sharpener.
Oh, you're right. Yes, you're Muddy Colors this month
Yeah.
about studio hacks.
Oh, yeah.
Tilde stuck it up. Daryl stuck it up.
Yep.
Go on Muddy Colors, and you know what? If you go under your name, one of the links is broken. So, but it's Lee Valley Tools and Muddy Colors.
Okay. Lee Valley Tools is a woodworking site, and it's called the Little Shaver. And if I guess if you want them to start like replenishing it, just email them and say, when are you going to start making these again? So it may just be that there's one person somewhere making them for Lee Valley Tools, and that guy like decided never to do it again or something. I don't know, but they're actually pretty hard to get a hold of. But.
Do you make digital art?
Oh yeah, definitely. I love doing digital stuff sometimes, especially when it's production stuff that needs to go like book publishing. That there's gonna be a lot of changes. Yeah, I have over there. If you point the camera over there, I have a Cintiq set up over there. That's when I'm working over there. I had to.
And the Boston lead pointer was found.
Oh yeah, that's my Boston lead pointer box. But yeah, I love doing digital stuff. It's just that when I do my own stuff, and for the most part, I like I have a better feel for the tangible, real world stuff. But I have a page on ArtStation as well, and if you ever go on ArtStation, man, there's some just incredible stuff.
Are you Penumbra or are you I Just Draw?
On I believe
ArtStation.
on ArtStation that I would I can't remember if I just draw on ArtStation. I think you could look up my name on there. I don't know. I have to look. I'll have to check now. I'm not Penumbra for sure. I'm not that. That was back when I was on Concept.
Could be Alan Williams.
Conceptart.org, but there's a sculptor on ArtStation.
You have another career. So no, this is your career.
This is it.
Actually, and I work with him also.
Yeah.
I've worked with him since 1988, so 21 years. I do all the business aspect of everything.
She does all the paperwork and files the taxes and does all the business stuff.
All the
and
fun stuff.
Tells
Scheduling.
me when is the best time for our taxes that I can buy a new pencil. Right?
Or another 12 pencils. I don't know. I think you get away with a lot.
Well, I do.
That's true.
But the thing is I don't hang glide.
That is true.
I do artwork, and I tend to the things I spend the most money on are pencils, and every 5 or 10 years I'll upgrade my computer.
That's true.
Because I've started doing a lot of 3D stuff with some of the concept art that I was working on.
Yes.
And I do this as well. People sometimes ask if I turn the drawing around, but I do get a better angle on it.
Yes.
I don't always draw from the same angle.
So, would you recommend art school? Is there any decent ones out there? You always like to say that.
That depends.
That just depends.
Most of the time, the answer to most art questions are it depends on what you get the most out of and what you want. There if I were to do it over again, I would probably find an atelier, someplace that was focused on art. Whereas I went to a liberal arts college for a while, but I didn't graduate from a liberal arts college. Most of what I've learned has been self-directed. It's the same thing as saying self-taught, but when I say self-directed, it means you have to go and find the things you want to learn from the people you want to learn it from.
Right.
So I went to the Illustrator's Masterclass for a long time because it was illustration focused, which is very the technical process of composition and illustration is what you learn a lot about there. And you can learn as much in the 7 days that you're there as you can in a year in school. And
someone else recommended RISD and SCAD. And BCU.
It just depends on what you respond to. Like when I actually was in the liberal arts school, I actually started working more than I was involved in the school, and the teachers would tell me that mostly what they wanted was like postmodern abstraction type stuff. And so my teachers ended up telling me, they were being very honest about it, I guess, that I wasn't going to get what I wanted from them, and nobody was ever going to ask me where I went to school. So it was more about what did I want to do.
Yes.
And that's what I found to be true in terms of your work. It's like people will look at your portfolio and they'll either like it or they won't. And
right. But do you want to teach, which is a different track? You don't
right.
Self-directed. You have to. Oh my gosh, we have more questions and we have 20 seconds remaining.
It's all right,
because I didn't remember when we started.
We'll come back again and do more. And
yes.
if we don't get to a question, you can always email us the question and we'll try to get it to it that way. But
and then ask again.
I do like teaching. I do like, especially, you know, when it's a one-on-one kind of a thing or a small group. I've done a few seminars and things like that.
Say goodbye.
Oh, goodbye.
We'll talk to you guys later.
And we'll be more on the ball next time.